Like there was news reports of like, I'm going to be the richest person ever to be in prison, so that doesn't help me.
From a safety perspective, Changpeng Zhao, aka CZ, the former CEO and founder of Binance, sat down with me for his first public interview since being released from prison.
Finance founder, CZ.
Sentenced to 4 months in prison on anti-money laundering charges, and you won't believe his story. I did have a...
Couple of guards recognized me and then asked me like, what coin should I buy?
All this at Binance Blockchain Weekend.
Dubai, so I'm the only one who went to jail for this in US history. In this historic interview, I asked CZ the tough questions. Do you think it was a fair sentence? What is your relationship with Binance now? We also discuss his Bitcoin.
Looking ahead to 2025, historically, Bitcoin has gone through very clear 4-year cycles. And, watching today's whole conversation, the perspective that CZ shares is massive. I love it. I respect it. Click subscribe to Altcoin Daily to stay in tune with the cryptocurrency market. And let's start. Yeah, it's good to see a...
Lessons learned in prison, a lot of familiar faces, yeah. Thanks for being here. So CZ, honored to be here. First question, how was your summer?
That's actually much less work to do, so, I'm pretty relaxed.
Yeah, well, today I want to get into Binance. I want to get into what's next for you, maybe a little crypto talk. But before that, just the elephant in the room. I want to learn about your experience by the way. I'm Austin of Altcoin Daily. CZ, your first interview back, what was your experience like in prison?
It's not good. It's less fun than now. So I think the whole experience is just very limiting in a lot of ways, right? So, your
freedom is taken away, and you have nothing to do, so it gives you a lot of time to reflect. I actually learned a lot of really important lessons. For example, when everything is taken away from you, what you miss the most, what I found is... Actually, it's the human connection that I miss the most. So I miss my kids, my family, my friends, my colleagues, and the community. There's a lot of other things I miss, but not nearly at the level or degree that I miss the people. So, you miss the food, you miss the nice bed. But those things, they don't bother me that much. So I think it helped me to refocus my priorities in life. You think it was a fair sentence? So that's a very subjective one. If you ask opinions from anybody, they all say different things, right? So I think, let me caveat with a couple conditions. So there's a plea agreement, which I agree to, and I'm in part of the plea agreement. I cannot say anything bad about the plea agreement, and I don't intend to. I think, look, you enter into a deal and that's the deal. Separate from that, there's a sentencing which I got 4 months for incarceration. And then there was the process going through the prison experience. So in terms of sentencing, the judge has a really tough job, right? So if you ask one side, they will say, no, it's too lenient. If you ask my side, it would be like too harsh. I don't care. I don't think about if it's fair or not. So I can give you a couple of data points for people to benchmark. For this particular violation, which is a Banking Secrecy Act violation, we didn't register a financial company in the US when we had US users, and we failed to implement an adequate anti-money laundering program. For this particular violation, no one ever went to jail for a single violation, which is my charge. So I'm the only one who went to jail for this in US history. And just 2 weeks ago, there was TD Bank got fined for like 1.8 billion. And when I was reading that, there were cases, I think you described that there were executives taking money to facilitate transactions and no one was named. Just the company was fined 1.8 billion. But, fair or not doesn't matter that much. And then the judge also said a bunch of really nice things about me in court, right? So he said, look, he never seen that many support letters, seemed like a nice, upstanding guy. But then he said, he doesn't have to follow precedent. That's when I knew things were not good. And but then when I got into prison, I found out actually 4 months is a really short sentence. Everyone else there is like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 8 years. They're all in years. Nobody gets a few months of sentence. So from that perspective, you know, I was pretty lucky. So I think in the judge's mind, he treated me very leniently. So again, it's a very subjective opinion. I try not to think about it. I think everyone here will have their own opinions, but middle April of this year, Elizabeth Warren declares a war on crypto. This is like a week. Then the judge sentences me, and then I went to prison. And then by June, Donald Trump is pro before my sentencing. Crypto by the end of June. Both parties are pro-crypto. I'm still sitting in prison like, what the hell happened? So did I. Should I have just waited for 2 months? So it shows that not now but that basically shows that the people want crypto. When the people wants crypto, then the government has to respond. So I think it's moving in the right direction. I live in the US. That's Trump versus Kamala. My POV in crypto is very much an election issue. In your opinion, Harris or Trump, who do you think is better for crypto? I have no idea. So I will not comment on any election topics because right now I got enough trouble in with the US laws. I know they have an election interference law, so anything I say publicly could be taken out of context. So I don't want to touch it. So now I don't even want to get close to the line. I don't even want to see the line. So I just want to stay as far away as possible. Yeah, so no comments. I think both parties are pro-crypto. That's fantastic. I love it. I respect it. And I love it. Yeah, give it. Up as we look to legislation and regulation in the future, again, I have a US point of view. What's one policy or one piece of legislation that you think is super important? Well, I think the fundamental one is actually just classification of crypto, right? So now there's so many debates about, in most other countries, they just treat it as money. Japan recognizes Bitcoin as a currency. Many other countries recognize Bitcoin as a currency, but of course there are different types of cryptos. It depends on the coin, I guess. But I think in the US, that's kind of the large debate right now. And again, I won't comment too much there. There's an ongoing lawsuit with the SEC, etc. Yes, final. Questions as we wrap up. I want to talk about Bitcoin, and of course I want to know about Giggle Academy, but let's just say 1 year from now, you and I are at Binance Blockchain Week 2025. We're on this stage. It doesn't have to be about price, but where will Bitcoin be or crypto a year from now? A year is really hard to predict, but I think there's a high chance if the future follows the history, then we'll be in a pretty good place. All right, I love it. CZ, what's next? Giggle Academy for you. Yeah, so I'm spending at least half of my time on Giggle Academy now. And I think it's a super interesting project, and I think it's a super impactful project. It's not going to be a very profitable project, but right now, can you define it for somebody who's never heard of it? What is Giggle Academy? Yeah, so it's basically an educational platform that's delivered digitally for people who don't have access to education. That's really it. Yeah, love. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so today there's about 700 to 800 million adults who are illiterate, and 2/3 of them are women. And then on top of that, there's about, depending on which report you read, there's about 300 million to 500 million kids who don't go to school. So together we have like 1.2 to 1.3 billion people who don't have access to education. And these are all in very poor parts of the world, etc. And no,
I think the lifetime ban is just a creative journalism where they invented two words to make it more sensational. Is it wrong? We're not sure. Is it right? Those words were not in the agreement. The agreement is public, so it's a public agreement. So that's to the best of my knowledge. What was your second question? Will you still be investing in crypto? Oh yeah, absolutely. So right now, I'm really only doing two things. I'm working on Giggle Academy and then I'm doing investments, right? So, and then on the investments, there's really three subparts. There's blockchain, there's AI, and there's biotech. So very simple. And those are three big areas. So I no longer want to lead any project myself. I don't think I have the energy to do that anymore. And I'm not as hungry either. No, I'm not as hungry as I was 7 years ago. So now I want to help other entrepreneurs to build their own companies. So I can help them with funding, with advice, with coaching, mentoring if they want it, with access to other resources, connections, etc. So that's what I want to do. So I think I have a few mentors who I value really strongly. And I would like to become a mentor myself. For those who want to. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people in this room would love you as a mentor. I hope so. I want to talk about Giggle Academy. I have plenty of Bitcoin's 4-year cycles. Questions, but before that, on Altcoin Daily, me and my brother, we speak to an audience of over 3 million across all social platforms. And one of the #1 questions we get is, what's the outlook for crypto in 2025? Are you still just as bullish on crypto next year? Okay, I'll try not to give any financial advice, but, and also, history doesn't predict the future, but I cannot predict the future, I can analyze the history. Historically, Bitcoin has gone through very clear 4-year cycles. So 2013 was a big year, 2017 was a big year, actually 2012 was a recovery year. I think most people don't look back that far. And then 2013 was a bull year, 2016 was a recovery year, 2014 and 2015 were tough, 2016 was a recovery year, and then 2017 went all the way over. 2020 was a recovery year, and then 2021 was a bull year. And this year, now we're kind of back to the previous all-time highs. So like 2024 is a recovery year based on the current analysis or based on the current prices. Next year, I don't know what's going to happen, but overall though, long-term for the industry, I think there's so much more that has to be built, that needs to be built, and that will be built. So I think the industry will get bigger, more and more people will use crypto. And with more people using crypto, the utility value will increase. So long-term, I'm still very, very bullish. Short-term, it's very hard to predict what, as in, you know, in a couple of sentences, what aspects of crypto are you most bullish on? Is it DeFi? Is it meme coins? Well, actually, I wouldn't go that specific because it's very difficult to predict like that specifically, like which one's going to be the next one. You know, beginning of 2017, I probably could not have said ICOs is the next thing. But by June, the trend was clear. By July, we launched the platform. By December, we were the largest platform. So, and I think it depends on which project explodes in those small sectors. I think all of those have potential to grow. Right now, like, I'm meeting a lot of founders. This morning, I met founders who are using AI with a very interesting integration with blockchain. Ideas I never thought about, right? So, if any one of those projects takes off, that sector will become big. So it's very hard to predict, but I'm just trying to support all the builders in the space and then see what happens. Yeah, let's talk about legislation. I want to pick your brain. How do you see legislation? What's next for crypto legislation today? And also, where's it going as a guy in the space? Well, I think currently today, the legislations and regulations are improving. And in some countries like here, they're improving fast. In other countries, many of them are, especially in bigger countries, they tend to move slower. Bigger countries do move slower. They have more departments, more people to discuss, etc. But overall, I think it's actually moving in a very positive direction. I'll give you another example, right? Just personal feelings. A week before I sat down in mid-April of this year, Elizabeth Warren declared a war on crypto. This is like a week